So you want to play PS2 games on your PC, but you've never really dabbled with emulation before. Well, you're in luck. In this guide, I'm going to show you how to set up PCSX2 in 10 steps or less. Let's get into it. Before we really get started, we're going to need a couple of things. The first thing we're going to need is the installer for PCSX2, which you can find on their website, PCSX2.net. If you hover over the Downloads tab, you will see it's available for many different platforms and operating systems. For the purposes of this tutorial, we will be using Windows, so we're going to go with that. It's important to get version 1.6.0, as that's the latest version and will run most games successfully. I've already downloaded this prior to the start of this video, so I won't be doing that here. You can just save it to your desktop for now. If you plan on downloading games, they'll most likely come compressed and zipped up in what we call a zip file. You'll need a program like 7-zip to open that. 7-zip is very similar to WinZip except for the fact that it can open all different types of compression, not just WinZip files. You can get that here on 7-zip's website, which will be linked down below along with the PCSX2 website. The last thing you're going to need is the BIOS file for the PS2. For legal reasons, I cannot show you or tell you where to find the PS2 BIOS, but you should be able to find it on Google without too much issue. To begin installation, double-click on the installer you downloaded from the PCSX2 website. If Windows prompts you, click Run. When prompted, select Normal Installation, then click Next. Here the installer is asking if you want to add shortcuts to your start menu or desktop. I recommend using both. You can change the installation location if you wish, but I find the standard location works just fine. And there you go. PCSX2 has been installed. Unclick Run as we're not quite ready for that, and then click Finish. Right-click on the newly created shortcut on your desktop and go to Properties. You're going to want to go to Compatibility and tell it to run as administrator. This will avoid an error later on in the process. Make sure you remember to hit Apply or the settings won't save. Double-click on the shortcut on your desktop for PCSX2. You'll be met with a screen asking you to choose your preferred language. I'm going to choose English. Hit Apply and then click Next. This is the default plugin setup. Nothing here really needs to change, so you can just click Next and move on through. This is the BIOS screen. Here, we're going to have to move the BIOS files from the folder I asked you to find earlier. Click Open in Explorer to bring up the BIOS folder. Right now, it's empty. Drag the zipped up BIOS into the BIOS folder. Right-click on the zipped up BIOS, hover over 7-zip, and pick Extract Here. Your zip may not contain this many files, and that's okay too. Return to the emulator window and click Refresh List. Then select the BIOS for the region of the game you want to play. And click Next. PCSX2 should now fully boot up. Setting up controllers in PCSX2 is very easy. Click on Config at the top of the window and scroll down to Controllers. Then select Plugin Settings. From this window you can select Pad 1 or 2 at the top of the screen depending on if you are trying to set up Controller 1 or Controller 2. To assign a button to a controller, simply click the button you want to assign and then press the button on your controller that you want to be that button. Repeat this process until you've assigned all the buttons of the controller. Remember to press Apply or the settings won't save. To launch a game from a file, go up to CDVD and make sure ISO is selected. Move up to ISO selector and press Browse. Here you can select the disk image file for the game you wish to play. This could be a .iso or a .q. If the game is compressed, you're going to need to unzip it first. To do this, just repeat the steps we did earlier with the BIOS file. Right-click on the file, scroll down to 7-zip, and hit Extract Here. Once you've selected your game image, click on System at the top of the PCSX2 window. Here you'll see two options, Boot ISO Full and Boot ISO Fast. The main difference is Boot ISO Full will show you the entire PS2 startup animation if you really want to get that sense of nostalgia. It may take a moment to start up, but that's totally normal. You can also adjust the size of the window just by dragging the corners of it like any other window on your computer. If you're looking to play a physical disc, PCSX2 can do that as well. Put the disc in the disk drive of your computer. Then find C DVD at the top of the PCSX2 window. Select the Plugin option. Then scroll up to Plugin menu and go to Plugin Settings. Here you can select what CD drive you put your disc into. Once that's set, you can go to System to boot fast or full as to your preference, just like you would with an ISO. If you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe the video, it helps me out a lot, and check out one of these other videos. Hope to see you again soon.